Hello, and welcome to this video where we're going to go over the instructions and expectations for the essay, Where Does Your Moral Compass Point? So as we reach this essay that finishes up the unit on different ethical philosophies, we take a look back on the fact that over the last roughly 5 weeks, we've been learning about a variety of different ethical philosophies. Often in philosophy and ethics courses, there's a lot of time spent on abstract thinking. And so abstract thinking is kind of thinking about philosophy and thinking about ethics and thinking about how it could apply. But what I want to do to close out this unit on these different ethical philosophies or different ethical systems is to move into concrete thinking. And so thinking about how these ideas, how these different philosophical, different ethical frameworks apply to you specifically. As we've talked about previously, our morals and ethics guide our actions and give us insight in how we should act in a specific situation. Now, wouldn't life be wonderful if we had this moral compass, which we could pull out and take a look at it and say where the needle is pointing, and that tells us how to act on a given situation. And so are we going to be acting according to the tenets of ethical relativism, or is it going to be more of moral objectivism? Are we going to be acting egoistic and focusing in on ourselves, or are we going to be acting altruistically and focusing in on others? Are we going to be taking actions as a utilitarian, or maybe change it out and act along the tenets of deontology? And so that is what I want you to consider as we go into this essay. Now, we've covered a wide range of different philosophical systems, different ethical systems over the first few weeks of this course. And so in preparation for this essay, I would like you to review the basic concepts of these major ethical philosophies, these major ethical systems that we've looked at within the course. And in addition to that, take an online ethical philosophy selector. And so this is basically a set of short questions presenting you with scenarios and asking you how you would act. Now, no one test is going to give you kind of complete insight into your personality, and similarly, this one test is not going to give you kind of concrete evidence as to what is your ethical philosophy. But it is, again, something interesting to try. Now, I warn you, there are a lot of ads on this, so please be careful with the links. Maybe hover your cursor, your mouse over the link before you click on it to make sure you're not going to an advertisement or potentially to malware. Once you've considered these different ethical systems, I want you to really think about what are your own personal views on these different ethical philosophies. Now, I want to give you 2 hints for this. The first hint is that there are no right or wrong answers to this. I'm not looking for you to have the same ethical philosophy as me, but what I'm looking for you to do is think about how you can apply this information to your own lives. And so because of that, I want you to, in this essay, to support your ideas with examples from your life. As we've talked about in this course, we need to be able to make arguments based on evidence, based on facts, based on examples. And in this case, I will look for you to use examples from your life to explain why your personal views are on these different ethical systems. Now, there are 3 basic parts to this assignment, and they're described as well in the handout that's available. First off, what I would like you to do is identify the ethical philosophy, or kind of in reality, the ethical philosophies, kind of multiple philosophies, ethical systems, that are the closest fit to your own personal view. And so kind of identify, kind of what you connect with. And then again, provide evidence for that. So explain why you chose this or probably these ethical systems or ethical philosophies. So that kind of identifies kind of where you're connecting with. The second part of the assignment is to identify which of these ethical philosophies are kind of antithetical, kind of the opposite to how you are acting, the ones that you would never find yourself considering in making decisions. And again, provide some explanation as to why you chose those systems as not being in alignment with you personally. And then finally, the third aspect of this, and the part that I think makes this really meaningful and making it concrete, is that how do you see your ethical philosophy or philosophies impacting on your achieving your personal life and career goals? Now, this is not to say that a person with a certain ethical viewpoint can only go into certain types of jobs, but our perspectives and our personalities are going to impact on how we act with others and could have an impact on how successful we are in, again, achieving our life and career goals. Included in the handout is a grading rubric that I'm going to be using to evaluate your essay. Now, in that rubric, it has different criteria. On this video and on this slide, I'm going to be focusing in on the exceeds criteria because that's my goal. My goal is that you're going to exceed the criteria and do really, really well on this written essay assignment. And so basically, I've broken down the parts of the assignment and then explained what it is I'm going to be looking for each part. And so for the personal ethical system, the ethical systems that are kind of in alignment with your kind of viewpoints and perspective and personality, what I'm looking for is that you can identify and explain those ethical system or systems. Now, as I indicated, what is the evidence supporting that decision? The evidence supporting your choice of that personal ethical system. And so I'm looking for you to provide evidence or examples from your life that support that decision. Similarly, for those opposing ethical viewpoints, I would like you to be able to identify and explain the opposing ethical system, and then again provide just a little bit of evidence that kind of illustrates why it is that you made that decision. And then again, taking this information and applying it to your personal life and career goals. We're looking at life goals individually and career goals individually, but looking for the presence of a well-defined personal life goal or a well-defined career goal. And again, I recognize that our goals change as we go through life, but the only way we're going to be able to achieve our goals is to have an idea where that target is, an idea where it is that we're going to be going. If we have clearly defined goals, we can figure out the path to get there. And so having those well-defined personal goals, life goals, and well-defined career goals, and then like we had previously, what is the evidence or what is the explanation as to how you feel that your ethical system will impact you on achieving your life goals and achieving your career goals. Now, this is not to say that people with a certain ethical philosophy can only go into certain careers, but there are certain perspectives, there are certain kind of personalities that do well in certain careers. And if we don't have that personality, we need to try harder in order to be able to succeed in that goal. And so I want you to be able to think about how this course and how these ethical systems will impact you going forward. Now, in addition to what's on this slide, I'm also looking at organization. So in the exceeds criteria category, I'm looking for the ideas to flow logically and progress towards your overall conclusion. So not jumping around a whole lot. And then kind of professional appearance, spelling and grammar, ideally with the essay being proofread, with ideally no errors or at least a minimal number of errors. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me by email. Thank you and have a great week.